Good evening, you're watching Just the News. I'm Mamata Banerjee. We start off with our top story today. Moody's Investor Service has slashed India's economic growth projection to 8.8% from 2022 from 9.1% earlier. Now, they've cited high inflation. Moody said, and I quote, "We have lowered our calendar year 2022 growth forecast for India to 8.8% from our March forecast of 9.1%. while maintaining our 2023 growth forecast at 5.4%, end quote. Now, it also said that the rise in crude oil, food and fertilizer prices will weigh on household finances and spending in the months ahead as well. Moving on now to the Gyanvapi case that's being heard by the Varanasi District Court judge. The Mosque Management Committee today told the Varanasi District Court that rumours are being spread about the alleged shivling that's being claimed to have been found inside the mosque, and they've said that this is being done to invoke sentiments of citizens. Now, the committee said, and I quote, "Rumours are resulting in public disturbance which should not be allowed until existence of the shivling is proven," end quote. Now, 5 Hindu women have claimed that an image of the Hindu deity exists at this mosque allegedly and have sought permission to offer daily prayers there. The Varanasi District Court is now hearing the petition by the mosque committee, which is arguing that the Hindu side's petition to offer daily prayers at the mosque is not maintainable. Now, the shivling case is a separate petition that, a separate claim that was made by another Hindu petitioner who alleged that there is a shivling, which the mosque committee has rejected. They had earlier said that it was a fountain, there was no shivling. Now the Mosque Management Committee has said that there are rumours being spread about this, and until it's proven, this must be looked into. Now, the matter will be heard on Monday, which is the 30th of May. To really understand what's going on in this particular case, what are the courts saying, what is the dispute really about, we've put out an explainer on the YouTube channel on this Gyanvapi Mosque case. Do take a look at it and tell us what you think of it as well. Moving on from the story now, the Supreme Court has directed all police forces to treat sex workers with dignity and not to abuse them verbally or physically. Now, the court has also directed the media to protect the identity of sex workers and not publish their photographs when reporting on raids. Now, the Press Council of India has been directed to issue appropriate guidelines in this regard as well. Now, a 3-judge bench headed by Justice L.N. Rao has said, and I quote, "Every individual in this country has a right to a dignified life under Article 21 of the Constitution of India," end quote. Now, the court also said, and I quote, "Basic protection of human decency and dignity extends to sex workers and their children who, bearing the brunt of social stigma attached to their work, are removed to the fringes of the society, deprived of the right to live with dignity and opportunities to provide the same to their children," end quote. Now, the panel, the Apex Court had earlier set up a panel. The panel has now recommended, among other recommendations as well, one of the recommendations is that when the sex worker sex worker, I beg your pardon, is an adult participating with consent, the police must refrain from interfering or taking any criminal action. Now, the centre, of course, has opposed to these recommendations. The court, in the meantime, has directed the union government to respond to these recommendations and the other recommendations within 6 weeks. Moving on to Jammu and Kashmir right now, police have arrested 10 people for allegedly raising anti-national slogans and pelting stones outside Jammu and Kashmir Liberation Front Chief Yasin Malik's residence in Srinagar on Wednesday before his sentencing. Now, Malik was sentenced to life imprisonment on Wednesday by a special NIA court after he was convicted in a terror funding case. Now, he was arrested in cases related to terrorism and secessionist activities in the Kashmir Valley in 2016-17. According to PTI, security forces were deployed in Srinagar to avoid any law and order problems. Shops in most of the areas are shut. Moving on to the state of Karnataka, students of Mangalore University staged a protest against Muslim girls who came to the classroom wearing a hijab. Now, they condemned the college's failure in not implementing the Karnataka High Court order on wearing of hijab within educational institutions. A meeting of departmental heads in the college has now been convened to discuss the issue and on the college's next course of action as well. Now, the hijab issue had really started in Udupi early in January and February this year. And later, Karnataka High Court upheld Karnataka government's decision of banning hijab in classrooms, saying that it is not an essential religious practice in Islam. Moving on now, a TV artist, Amreen Bhat, was killed and her 10-year-old nephew was injured after militants barged into her house and opened fire. This is according to a report by the Indian Express. The incident took place in Budgam district. The nephew is now in a stable condition. Now, the attack comes a day after suspected militants killed a policeman and injured his minor daughter outside their house in Saura neighborhood of Srinagar. Moving on to politics now, starting off with Tamil Nadu. Prime Minister Modi held a roadshow in Tamil Nadu today and laid the foundation stones of 11 projects worth over 31,500 crore rupees. Now, during his visit, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin has made a key list of demands, in fact, on behalf of the state, which includes exemption from NEET and releasing pending GST dues. Now, interestingly, Mr. Stalin also demanded Tamil be the official language in high courts and union government offices as well. Also in Delhi, Vinai Kumar Saxena has taken oath as the 22nd Lieutenant Governor of Delhi at a ceremony at the Raj Niwas in the national capital. Now, Vinay Saxena has succeeded Anil Baijal, who had earlier resigned citing personal reasons. Vinay Saxena was the chairman of the Khadi and Village Industries Commission. Now, soon after taking oath, he said, and I quote, "I'll work as a local guardian. You'll see me more on the roads than in Raj Niwas. Pollution is a major issue in Delhi. We'll try to solve this problem along with the centre, Delhi government and local citizens," end quote. Now, Delhi government chief minister earlier had taken to Twitter and said that the Delhi government will give full cooperation to the new Lieutenant Governor. Meanwhile, in Maharashtra BJP President Chandrakant Patil targeted NCP Supriya Sule and said, and I quote, "If you don't understand politics, go home and cook," end quote. Now, these comments come amidst a tussle between the BJP and the MVA. Now, the BJP has been accusing Maharashtra's MVA of not doing enough for OBC quota, which was put on hold by the Supreme Court. Now, the Maharashtra government, however, blames the centre for not providing data. Now, Supriya Sule had said that she contacted Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan during his Delhi visit, but he did not divulge what he did to get a nod for the reservation. Now, to this, BJP's Chandrakant Patil has said, and I quote, "Why are you even in politics? Just go home and cook, go to Delhi or to a cemetery, but get us this OBC quota. Despite being a Lok Sabha member, how come you don't know how to get an appointment with the Chief Minister?" End quote. Now, reacting to this, Supriya Sule's husband, Sudanand Sule, has said, and I quote, "I'm proud of my wife, who is a homemaker, mother, and a successful politician, one amongst many other hardworking and talented women in India. This is an insult to all women," end quote. Meanwhile, in Uttar Pradesh Finance Minister has tabled UP's 6.15 lakh crore rupees budget for the year 2022-23. He said that the target is to make Uttar Pradesh's economy a $1 trillion in size. Now, the budget proposes 276.66 crore rupees for the Uttar Pradesh Special Security Force entrusted with the security of courts and historical and religious places, including Ayodhya, Kashi, and Mathura. Now, for women's welfare, the state government has proposed setting up cyber help desks at the district level, and a provision of 72.50 crore rupees has been made. Now, this is amongst the other list of promises that have been made in this budget as well. In the meantime, the West Bengal cabinet has decided to table a bill in the state assembly to replace the governor with the chief minister as the chancellor of all state-run universities. Now, following this, West Bengal's BJP spokesperson has said, and I quote, Mamata Banerjee wants to have all powers in her own hands. This is one such move in that direction. She wants to run an authoritarian regime where nobody can question her actions. This is a tactic to divert people's attention from burning issues, end quote. On to international news right now, starting off with Ukraine crisis. It is day 92 of Russia's invasion in Ukraine. The head of World Bank has now warned that Russia's invasion of Ukraine could cause a global recession as the price of food, energy, and fertilizer have increased. Now, he added that a series of coronavirus lockdowns in China is also adding to concerns about a slowdown. Last month, the World Bank cut its global economic growth forecast for this year by almost a full percentage point to 3.2%. Moving on to sports news right now. Rafael Nadal has become the third person to win 300 Grand Slam singles matches after he won the second round of the French Open. Now, the highest is Roger Federer, followed by Novak Djokovic. One piece of good news before we wrap things up here on this bulletin. Captain Abhilasha Barak has become the first woman to join Army Aviation Corps as a helicopter pilot. Now, this comes 30 years after India began inducting women as officers in the armed forces. Now, she completed a year-long course at the Combat Army Aviation Training School at Nashik in Maharashtra. That brings us to the end of this bulletin. Thank you so much for watching.